The sea. She never forgets. She never forgives. I told myself
I'd stay away, treasure. But here I am, back again. The ocean calls. And when she does, you don't argue.
The legacy of Pirates of the Caribbean has always thrived on grand adventures, unforgettable characters, and the unpredictable tides of destiny. Now with Pirates of the Caribbean 6, the saga sets sail once again, and the world is preparing for a return to the high seas like never before. After years of speculation and anticipation, the announcement of the sixth film has reignited passion among fans who have cherished this franchise for over 2 decades. This installment arrives with the promise of not only revisiting beloved characters, but also expanding the mythology of the oceans, exploring hidden islands, cursed artifacts, and treacherous alliances. The seas are restless, and the horizon beckons for one last great voyage that will bring both closure and new beginnings to the saga of Captain Jack Sparrow. The cast forms the heart of this grand return, with Johnny Depp reprising his role as the iconic Captain Jack Sparrow. His eccentricity, wit, and unpredictability once again command the story, showing a man both haunted by the ghosts of his past and unwilling to surrender his legendary freedom. Alongside him, Orlando Bloom returns as Will Turner, the captain of the Flying Dutchman, whose bond with the sea continues to test his humanity and his role as both father and husband. Keira Knightley returns as Elizabeth Swann, now more resolute and powerful than ever, whose presence in the tale weaves together old destinies with new battles. Kaya Scodelario reprises her role as Karina Smythe, continuing her arc as a bold navigator and astronomer whose intelligence and bravery bring a vital edge to the group's quest. Brenton Thwaites appears again as Henry Turner, struggling between his duty to his family and his longing for freedom, standing at the crossroads of the legacy his parents left him. New faces are introduced too, with Javier Bardem rumored to appear briefly in a haunting vision as Captain Salazar, and a new antagonist emerging, played by a formidable actor whose identity remains cloaked in secrecy, adding to the suspense surrounding the film. The plot unfolds with Jack Sparrow in a familiar yet unsettling situation. Once again hunted by both the law and supernatural foes, he finds himself without a ship, without a crew, and on the verge of fading into obscurity. But fate does not allow Sparrow to vanish quietly. Whispers of a mythical artifact known as the Trident of Shadows surface across the seas, a relic said to command both life and death, rivaling even Poseidon's lost trident. Legends speak of its power to tear the veil between the living and the dead, allowing its master to control the oceans beyond mortality itself. Jack, hearing of such a treasure, is drawn back into the tides of destiny, despite his protests that all he wants is rum, freedom, and the occasional escape from execution. What begins as a reluctant pursuit soon turns into a race for survival, as darker forces are already seeking the artifact with far more sinister intent. The oceans, however, have their own agenda. Will Turner senses a disturbance as the seas groan under the weight of unnatural storms, the Dutchman drawn to an evil older than any curse he has known. Elizabeth, still fiercely protective of her family, realizes that the balance between freedom and tyranny is once again at risk. Henry, eager to prove himself, seeks to break away from his father's shadow, while Karina pursues the artifact not for power but for knowledge, convinced it holds the secrets to the stars and the origin of the sea itself. Together, their paths converge once more with Sparrow at the center, reluctantly guiding them on a journey filled with betrayal, deception, and humor. Yet lurking behind them is the shadow of the new villain, a sea lord risen from the forgotten depths, his eyes set on bending the world to his command through the Trident of Shadows. The tone of the film balances the familiar chaos of Jack's unpredictable antics with a darker, more mythic atmosphere. Ancient maps, shipwrecks guarded by cursed spirits, and oceans alive with danger define the landscape. Old rivalries are reignited, with Jack constantly pursued by those who seek vengeance for his past mischiefs. Still, amid the darkness, humor thrives, with Jack's absurd yet brilliant survival instincts keeping the film anchored to the essence of the franchise. The balance between comedy, action, and myth makes this installment both nostalgic and daringly fresh. One of the central emotional arcs lies in the relationship between Will and Henry. After years apart and bound by the curse of the Dutchman, Will struggles with the reality that his son has grown into a man with his own desires. Elizabeth's presence grounds the family, reminding them all of the sacrifices made to keep their world intact. Karina becomes the intellectual force of the group, challenging Jack's reckless impulses with sharp logic, though often finding herself swept into his chaos anyway. Jack Sparrow, meanwhile, finds himself questioning what freedom really means as the years weigh on him. The Trident of Shadows does not only tempt others, but also whispers to Jack himself, offering the chance to rewrite his past, to undo mistakes, and to escape the inevitability of age. For the first time, Jack faces a decision not only about survival, but about the very meaning of his life. The film's set pieces are designed to be breathtaking and unforgettable. A battle upon a floating graveyard of ships lost at sea, where skeletal crews rise from the depths to fight under the villain's command. A storm of fire and lightning where ships clash atop waves that burn with unnatural fury. A descent into an underwater temple carved into the bones of a forgotten leviathan, glowing with ancient runes and secrets. And of course, the climactic battle aboard the villain's flagship, a monstrous vessel formed from the remains of drowned ships, its hull alive with the screams of the damned. These moments are woven with quieter, heartfelt scenes, such as Jack sharing a moment of vulnerability with Will, or Elizabeth reminding Jack of the responsibility he can never fully escape. The release date for Pirates of the Caribbean 6 is set for the summer of 2025, a time chosen to recapture the excitement of blockbuster adventures that defined earlier eras of cinema. The film aims to deliver both nostalgia for longtime fans and a fresh spark for new audiences, introducing themes of legacy, destiny, and the cost of freedom. The studio promises this installment will serve as both a continuation and a potential finale, though like any pirate tale, the possibility of further adventures always lingers over the horizon. The teaser trailer begins with the sound of waves crashing against jagged rocks under a moonless sky. A flicker of lantern light reveals the tattered sails of a ghost ship drifting silently across the waters. A deep voice whispers of a power lost to the ages as the camera pans across ruins submerged beneath the ocean. Suddenly, the faint echo of familiar footsteps stumbles onto the deck, and Jack Sparrow emerges from the shadows, muttering about terrible odds and even worse rum shortages. The trailer cuts rapidly between storm-tossed seas, Elizabeth drawing her sword, Will Turner staring at the waves with dread, Karina studying star maps as celestial alignments shift ominously, and Henry calling his father into battle. Then comes the villain, his face half-shrouded by shadows, commanding the seas to rise as ghostly ships burst forth from the abyss. The trailer ends with Jack raising his compass toward the horizon, whispering, "Time to face the music," before the screen fades to black and the title appears, Pirates of the Caribbean 6. The final shot shows Jack being chased through a burning port city, shouting, "Why is it always me?" as the trailer cuts to silence, leaving audiences desperate for more. The sixth film in the franchise positions itself not merely as another installment, but as a celebration of the saga that began with the curse of the Black Pearl. It brings back the essence of adventure, the thrill of the unknown, and the humor that has made Jack Sparrow one of the most enduring characters in cinema. The seas are calling once again, and as the tide rises, the story of Pirates of the Caribbean continues into a new legend.